Hey, hello. Good afternoon. My name is Robert Levering, and so this is just a continuation of my informative speech transitioning into my policy speech. And so in this speech, I'm going to be talking about how we're going to deal with our drug issue in the United States. But first, I'm going to reiterate some of the facts about what we're having issues with in the United States. And so, first of all, our drug issues started a long time in advance. We have an addictive culture that slowly transitioned into a culture where we just punish people repetitively for getting in trouble for drug issues, and we're not doing anything different about it. And so we've handled the same issue the same way for the longest time, is you punish people, and we keep beating it down that if you do this, we're going to punish you with time, money, and anything else they can come up with to punish people with drug problems. And so with that, every year 600,000 people die a year towards overdose with drugs in the United States. The whole state of Washington entirely disappears with drug overdoses, and that's anything from cocaine, heroin, injections, opioids. There's so many different things that go into it. And so illegal drugs are very strict in our country. We have a lot of places where marijuana is legal, but we have more countries where it's illegal to have marijuana. And that's something that we're going to change in our policy that's going to come up later. And so one of the things that come up is cocaine. Cocaine is pretty prevalent in our area in Colorado and other countries around the world. And so cocaine is something that is very addictive, and nearly a million people struggle with cocaine addiction. Cocaine is kind of an energetic kind of drug that makes people feel good and feel happy and like just stay on it because they want to be happy, they want to have energy. And because of our culture, we kind of just beat down people. They work 40 plus hours a week. They continue to be unhappy with their lives because they always feel like they're behind in this world. And so by changing it, like I said later in the policy, we'll be able to change this habit of beating people down. Okay. So marijuana, I talked a little bit about marijuana earlier. And so 4.2 people are addicted to marijuana. And so addiction is kind of an interesting word because human beings are naturally addictive to anything in the world. We have workaholics, we have alcoholics, we have drug addicts. Um, Anything could be addictive. TV, we have so much stuff that we can get addicted to, especially since it's available through the internet, and we can find out about more and interesting things that perk up our ears, especially anything that gives us a chemical reaction that we enjoy. And that's why anything can be addictive, is because it hits something personal to us that we want, even if it's drugs or alcohol. One of the things that I found personally interesting is the way we think about drugs and how we handle them. The first thing, the quote I'm trying to think of, one sec. So the story is, when I got out of the military, we had people having issues with mental issues and depression, and we had some suicides. And so, first off, this is me 8 years ago. The way I thought about suicides back then was it was kind of cowardice to be committing suicide, and someone told me to look at it as if it's a disease that can be treatable and then just needs time to develop into a curable thing. But that kind of mentality is the way we should look about drug addicts. And so that's the biggest issue in America, is that we punish people and then they are kind of nervous to come back and get help because we shun those people so much. And so a culture change in the United States would help, really help our drug problem in the United States. And it would also benefit our economy and benefit our people, because we're not a people oriented, we're a money oriented country. And so my policy is to change that and make it a people oriented country. And so first off, go back to my notes. Prevention. The way we're going to change it is prevention. The money that comes from drugs and marijuana, we're using that for schools right now. And so if that keeps increasing, we need to change it. And so anything that deals with drug money, we need to change that to prevention. That's prevention programs in schools, getting the word out more, giving more community reached towards like knowing how this will affect your life. Preventing is the least amount budget towards our homeland security. It's prevention of drugs. And the stat is, I think it's 5% of our 5 to 10% of our budget goes towards preventing drug habits. So we need to change that. And so in my policy, we're going to make that up to 30% eventually. And so slowly increase the amount of money we're putting towards preventing drug addictions. And so the way we do that is through education. More money needs to go towards education and keeping kids in education. And not only that, is the people that are addicted, not punishing them, but showing them and educating them the differences and how they could change their lives. Just like my career choice right now is physical education. Through physical education, you could change people's lives and make them understand that there's different ways to be happy and express yourself and challenge yourself. And by doing that, you're going to create happy chemicals, just like they're searching for with drugs, if that makes sense. And so more money towards education will benefit everyone. Everyone will benefit from this. And so if we educate people more and keep kids in school and make it a more successful world, we will all benefit from it. And so I kind of hinted at this with education and prevention. Our changing culture is huge. The way we look at drug addicts is we kind of shun them. We put them in like a box over there and that's where they belong. Is like, no, they're drug addicts. They can't be changed. But we need to be more accepting of people. And so we're having a lot of race issues. We're having a lot of judgmental issues in the United States. But if we slowly transition that, we'll be able to be more of an accepting culture. I'm not saying that this is going to solve any of the issues towards racism or anything in the United States, but it's a slow process. And so if we start understanding that drug addiction is a big problem in the United States, especially with pharmaceutical companies being able to push as much addictive pills as they can. So in closing, the way I'm going to change the world and change our drug problem is prevention and education and a culture change. It's not going to be a big change, but it's going to be a slow change. And that's exactly what happened in Portugal. They made it work. It was a slow change, just like the marijuana spike. When we legalized it, there was an increase, but now it's slowly getting steady and we benefit from the taxes made on it. And so decriminalization of drugs is kind of an idea that's bounced around. But you never know. With the United States, it's hard. It's such a big country and there's so many people. But in some, what we're doing right now is not working. And so we need to change that. Thank you.